Big news coming from Governor Ron DeSantis this morning. He announced that $111 million will be awarded for infrastructure repairs for communities impacted by Hurricane Michael. As many residents may remember, this used to be a motel and bar, and it was shut down before the structure was severely damaged during Hurricane Michael. This plan will move the location of the Bay County Juvenile Justice Courthouse from 11th Street to Bay County's main courthouse on Mackenzie Avenue, so everything will now be in one central location. Jason Jones has been found guilty of all 3 counts, 2 counts of second-degree murder and 1 count of attempted second-degree murder. It's where the incident happened. On April 24th, Corporal Robert Clifton was patrolling this area of Front Beach Road. Right now, the BCSO SWAT team has this house surrounded from all angles. Officials say 2 of the biggest factors playing a role in the increase in fatal accidents are people not wearing a seatbelt and texting and driving. Here we go.
Oh! Great job!
Well, I made it! This outfall project will be the first of its kind in the Gulf of Mexico. How it will work, it's a pipe will be dug under the sand and under the water. For the signs, the plan is to add flashing lights so no one can miss them. And then for the roads, they're going to add a brand new coat of paint. This year, officers will be on high alert to make sure that boaters are staying safe on the water for 4th of July weekend. To put that into perspective, back in July, the positivity rate in Bay County was at 28%. But let's take a look at it now. Panama City Beach Fire Rescue says they started getting calls around 8 a.m. this morning, and from there, they just didn't stop. One of the biggest calls that they responded to is this house behind me after a roof of a nearby convenience store flew off, landed on this house, and trapped a woman inside.
It was quiet, and all of a sudden, wind started coming in and buildings started shaking.
Tom Pulatov says he saw the roof start to lift. That's when he and the 3 others inside the blue convenience store headed for shelter.
Just scary, super scary. I don't know how to explain that moment.
About 2 minutes later, they came out of the bathroom. The roof was gone, and they didn't know where it landed, but someone else did.
I was sound asleep, and grace of God is what woke me up, as far as I'm concerned. I heard this loud roaring noise, and something told me to dive, and I did.
That noise Sherry Wilson heard was the roof falling onto her cousin's home, where she was asleep inside right through that window.
Thank God I'm alive.
The debris trapped Wilson inside. Minutes later, the Panama City Beach Fire Rescue showed up to free her, and she escaped with barely a scratch.
Nothing. There's a bruise and some banged up knees. That's about it. Like I said, thank you, Jesus.
Wilson lost both of her vehicles from the storm, and the front half of her cousin's home is destroyed. The owners of the convenience store had already started their cleanup, and they are just glad to be alive.
And we are glad we were okay.
Yeah.
We could have been, something could have happened to us, bad thing, but it didn't. Luckily, there were no serious injuries reported from this storm. However, many residents were out of power for many hours today. Gulf Power says they are working around the clock to restore it. Anna Hoffman, News Nation, Panama City Beach. 38-year-old Jason Dowdell's local legal problems began May 11th when a doorbell camera recorded him taking a package from this Springfield home. Police arrested him on May 14th on burglary, theft, and failure to register as a felon charges. But this wasn't his first brush with the law.
In '99, he was charged with armed robbery with a firearm, felon in possession of a firearm, and homicide.
6 days later, with the jail population at least 100 inmates over capacity, the decision was made to recommend the judge release Dowdell from jail. He qualified because this current crime was nonviolent.
Well, as the judge to approve that, I think it was a very reasonable decision, and nobody can predict what somebody is going to go and do.
Dowdell was released on May 21st and ordered to report to a probation officer until his trial. 1 week later, Springfield police arrested him for forcing his way into a Russ Lake Drive home, kidnapping and raping 2 sisters, ages 17 and 19, then threatening their mother with a knife and beating her. The ordeal took place over 6 hours. Some are questioning why authorities released Dowdell in the first place, but Sheriff Tommy Ford says the jail overcrowding issue is complicated.
Make no mistake, this is a serious issue. We're working with the courts, the state attorney's office and the public defender's office, trying to make the best decisions in the interest of public safety.
Just days before the attack, Ford sent this letter to Chief Circuit Judge Chris Patterson, dealing with his concerns about the overcrowding. It details how the average jail population has grown from 877 in 2014 to 1,155 now. As of Tuesday, the jail was 130 inmates over capacity. While the hurricane and the COVID-19 pandemic is responsible for some of the increase, Ford says it doesn't explain all of it, nor the consequences.
Very difficult on our staff at the jail to manage that. Just in our outside medical costs, we're several $100,000 over budget.
While most believe early release is not an ideal situation, officials say for now they don't have many other choices. In Bay County, Anna Hoffman, News 13, Panhandle Strong. The beginning of Memorial Day starts to feel different when you're surrounded by those men and women that fought for our country. Some made it home, while some didn't. But each and every one of them played a role in making America the land of the free.
And I started to think of the little girl at home, and she said, "Mom, when is Daddy coming home?" Well, you see, Daddy wasn't coming home because Daddy was killed in Vietnam. And the wife that sits at home all alone, she had a great husband, you see, but he's gone. And I started to understand a little bit about Memorial Day.
Veterans like Daryl Hertz and community members filled Kent Forest Lawn Cemetery to reflect, remember, and say thank you the best way they know how.
The time to say, you can't hardly do it, but it's time to say thank you. We want to honor you.
Hertz was drafted into the Army in 1966. He was 26 years old. He left his wife, his business, and his childhood. But he says he doesn't regret it at all.
Something touched my heart after those 30 years of doing nothing. And I'm not going to let it get away.
American pride was beaming from the eyes of all who attended, and strength was radiating from those who served.
This is just honoring those who've gone before. I've lost friends, I've lost comrades in those two conflicts I talked about. And it means a lot to me just to remember them and their services.
Commander Keith Foster fought in operations like Desert Storm and Rocky Freedom. He says it wasn't until serving his country that he really learned what it means to wear red, white, and blue.
I put my life on the line for this country. When I hear the Pledge of Allegiance, when I say the Pledge of Allegiance, it has that meaning now that I understand how important this country is for the freedom of the world.
The service was about honor and showing we care, and in the best way we could thank the fallen soldiers for the land of the free, fought for by the brave. In Panama City, Anna Hoffman, News 13, Panhandle Strong.